Hey, 6-0 is so sweet. 7-0 is around the corner. And Big Blue has the formula. Let's go with our Michigan Wolverines. How's everybody doing? You have reached the Big House Breakdown. I am your host, the Vic. And we are back again with Michigan Football Rant. Adam, what's going on, bro? Say what's up.
Hey, man, how you guys doing? Man, it's been a great year so far, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm glad you could join me, man. It was kind of touch and go for a little while, at least
For
on my
sure.
side, for my activities, you know. But, but I'm glad we could all make it, and I'm glad everybody listening can make it. And if you're watching the replay, I'm glad you can make it, and you are watching the Big House Breakdown. Adam is from Michigan Football Rants, and we want to explain a little bit about your show before we start this one.
Yeah, sure. Basically, my show is for every passionate Michigan fan. It's kind of set up if you ever had a beer with your your craziest Michigan fan buddy who knows a lot about nothing and just yells a lot and gets angry, and you both roast the other team and you're making fun of the other coaches and things like that. That's what this podcast is. It's for people who love Michigan football and love to make fun of everyone else, and it's just we're 100% Michigan football all the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's some things we have in common because we love to roast. We love to get down to the nitty gritty
I
right
love it.
here on the throne of Big Ten football,
Yeah.
the Big House Breakdown, all things Michigan. We're going to review. We're going to preview. We're going to give you an eye test. We're going to give you a hot take. And if Adam has a chance to stick around, we'll do some weekly pick'ems, man. So let's get
Cool.
right to it, like we supposed to do it. Let's get right into our game review. So your thoughts, man, before I get way too deep, your thoughts on I saw a little bit on your podcast.
Yeah.
You tell the viewers, you told them about how to access your podcast. What are some of the thoughts in case they missed it? What are some of your thoughts about the last game versus Minnesota?
I mean, what it was we seems like we just keep getting better every week. I mean, the non who knew that the non-conference schedule we were going to play less enthused than the Big Ten. I mean, we have been killing them in this Big Ten. We just keep scoring more and more points as each week goes on. It's been great to see it. I mean, I'm a big defensive line guy, so to see Mason Graham do what he's doing, and I mean them all. Not just a single out one, but to see him come back with a big ass club on his hand, and to see how fast he can swim, move, and get in the backfield. It was just amazing.
Yes.
It was a great win.
Yeah, man. We're gonna go over a little bit of that in our game review. So let's pop it on right here. Michigan won 52-10 versus Minnesota. JJ McCarthy was on fire. Of course, there's a picture right there, a mini picture right there of Roman Wilson evading a DB. And what was that? That was the reverse, right?
I think so.
Yeah, he stiff armed him. Or maybe that was a McCarthy pass. Either one, they were connecting all over the place. You mentioned Mason Graham. I mean, yeah, Mason Graham. He did his thing, and
Oh yeah.
it was awesome. Do you remember when he kind of like used the club hand to do the swim move and came around and
Oh,
man, he swallowed up Manis in a heartbeat.
it was like three dudes he took out at once that one play.
Yeah,
It was
wow.
unbelievable. It was pretty amazing, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
2 pick sixes, all of it. It was the defense hopped on him and just did not let him up.
Yeah, man. So everybody watching, we got a couple people watching right now, people tuning in, people doing their thing. Let us know what you think about Mason Graham's performance. Do you think that Mason Graham's performance was indicative of him being out for a game or so, and then that may have gave him some fresh legs, and he was able to just come across with a whole lot of energy and ferocity? What's your thoughts on why Mason Graham was able to be his presence? I mean, he's always been a presence, but your thoughts?
I just think it's one, like you said, being out. Two, being able to Mike Elston, in my opinion, has been the greatest addition to that defense next to Minter and even Mike McDonald. I mean, what he's done, the difference between the defensive line when what's his name? The big Samoan kid. Anyways, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. but I actually worked with his brother Stallone at American Airlines. So, anyways, the big addition to Mike Elston's been awesome. I mean, the line play is gone to that next level, in my opinion.
Yes, sir. And it's almost made it like we're D-line you almost. I mean,
Oh,
we specialize in a lot of things, but the recruits love the fact if you play D-line, you get with Michigan and you get under Ben Herbert and you get in that strength and conditioning room, you know that
it's
if
true.
you have the talent to get on that field and be a starter, you may just punch yourself a ticket to go to the NFL.
Oh, I don't see why not. I mean, look at all the edge rushers we put in the NFL just recently.
Yes, sir.
You know, I mean, that alone. If you're a kid who, and not even just a recruit, if you're just a kid at any other school that's not really on a good team, or you're not getting a lot of play, but you have that bend and you have that explosion, man. Michigan's probably the place you want to go.
Right, right. But we have this situation with this NIL, man, this NIL monster.
Yeah,
It has many, many tentacles.
true.
And I think in the outset, Michigan looks awesome. And then Michigan tries to grab them up and snatch them up early and get them into the big house and
Yeah.
give them the treatment and barbecue at the big house, the whole thing. And they love it. They love the campus. They love the parents love the academia. And
Hmm.
somewhere along the next 6 to 8 months, they visit in other schools and they get those whispers in their ear about things that may or may not pan out economically for them.
True.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think Michigan's always going to have a hard time with hard time with recruiting. I mean, that's relative, right? Because I mean, we constantly get 3 and 4 stars, and we coach them up to be 5. But in this new day and age of NIL, I mean, we're always going to have a hard time because they're not hitting it as hard as, like, say, the SEC or Ohio State or Clemson or some of these other play. Texas, I mean, God, Texas has got every bit of oil money you could think and just throws it around like crazy. But what I like about what our shortcomings are in NIL, we make up for in the transfer portal. Because of Harbaugh being an NFL coach, I think he's going to treat that transfer portal a lot like free agency. Why put all the big NIL dollars on high school recruits when you're not quite sure if they'll pan out? Now, most of the time they do. If you're a 5-star, most of the time you can pan out. But why not have tape on a kid, say, like Isaiah Stewart?
Right.
I mean, perfect example. I mean, you see all that tape on that kid, bring him in, and look what he's doing. He's already paying dividends, and we got him out of the transfer portal. I mean, just AJ Barner. I mean, look at everybody. Nugent. I mean, everybody we've gotten so far has been a basic home run.
Wallace.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wallace. I mean, for sure. So you know what I mean? Like, I like what he's doing with the transfer portal because it's more of a get them now and have them produce right away type thing than sitting on them for a couple years and hoping. But I mean, I think some positions you need great recruits, like quarterback, obviously. Quarterback, you get like like offensive tackles, stuff like that. There's certain positions that you definitely want to focus on. Your recruiting, right? You don't want to be like 100th in recruiting, but still, I think
Yeah.
this transfer portal kind of helps us.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. Like you said, it's like a free agency of sorts. And
Yeah.
with the, do you think we need as many rounds of it though? Because we'll have
Oh,
a round in the beginning stages of it, and then right before what is it, camp? There's another round of it. Do,
uh,
do you think that that's necessary? Like in the June May area, there's a second round of it.
yeah. I mean, maybe one round. I don't know if you need a whole bunch of them. It'll make it a little bit more important, But I think right now the only reason why they have so many rounds is because it's so new and every kid is hopping in the portal. If they ain't getting what they want or they think they're being disrespected, these kids are jumping faster than anything.
Yeah, man. I've been listening to some of the talking heads some of the, what is that, 24/7 Sports out of
Yeah.
Michigan and so on and so forth. And they're already laying claim to some of the kids that are good on the other teams that we blew out to see if we can transfer them into
Yeah.
the program. Some receivers,
Oh,
Michigan State is probably having a fire sale at this point. You know what I'm saying?
yes, sir.
It's
Yes, they
crazy stuff.
are.
It's crazy stuff. So let's go over it real quick.
Okay.
I want to look at some of these defensive stats because the score is indicative of itself. 52-10. So there was some offensive numbers put up. JJ didn't have the 300-yard passing game, but he
Right.
had 2 running touchdowns and a passing touchdown. And not Donovan, Blake had a touchdown. What's the running back? Leon
Mullen.
Franklin,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah.
He scored in fourth quarter time, real hard runs, real gutty runs.
Hmm.
Don't know what's up with CJ Stokes and don't know what's up with Benjamin Hall. You would figure those 2 guys, what they've contributed would be out there in the mix, and that's not the case right now. But let's look at some defensive standouts, man. So they scored 2 touchdowns off a
Yeah.
pitch. How about Keon Sabb? How about the job he's been doing for us as a backup safety?
It's amazing, man. We've really been lucky. I think our sophomore class is pretty phenomenal. You're getting standout performances from Mason Graham, Will Johnson, and Keon Sabb. I mean, they're all sophomores and they're all doing. I mean, they all start basically. I mean, I know Keon's probably doing it because Rob Moore isn't 100% healthy yet, but still, I mean, to be a sophomore and making big time plays like he is at the safety position is pretty amazing. So we've been striking gold lately with our young kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that goes back again to Ben Herbert and his
Yeah,
weight and conditioning program. And I think he also brings a maturity to the kids too. Almost like a father figure, an uncle of sorts that will set
hmm,
you straight about some of the things that young people have conflicts with, and some of the things that they deal with as young college players. Maybe they get a little bit of money, maybe they thought they had some celebrity because they were a 4-star or 5-star player,
true.
and they got to come to Michigan, and it's like, nah, you got to humble yourself, buddy.
That's the truth, man. I believe you. I think you're right. I mean, when you see just any interview with Herbert, or if you even see any of the clips with him, he's a driven dude. Like you're going to do what he says regardless, or you can get out. And the thing is, if you have a beef with him, Harbaugh's going to back him more than anything. And that just goes to show, if you can't buy into the weight and conditioning program and the way we run things, maybe you're just not a great fit for Michigan. And I kind of love the fact that they put culture over talent. You know what I mean? Like, granted, you would love to have an amazing talent, but if he's going to be a me type guy, he's not going to work at Michigan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You said it best.
You know?
A play that stood out to me, and let's talk about it real quick before
Sure.
we get past game reviews, is the pop pass touchdown. I won't call it a pop pass. It's pop pass because we play the scrub team, but
Yeah.
it's still, this is the 3rd week in a row where somebody has got off a deep pass on us, or
Oh
at
yeah.
least a pass that went to the house.
Yeah.
So what
I,
I'm thinking, and I wanted to ask you, do you think we're going to see this more from teams as we move on in the season?
I mean,
You
I
think
think they're
teams are
all,
going to continue to test us deep because we've shown that vulnerability?
yeah, I think I mean, it's always going to be worth a shot. I mean, especially when you get into games with Maryland, Penn State, Ohio State, who all have the guys that go deep. And if we can't figure out not to bite on a 2 move, route, or a up and under, or whatever the heck they fell for that this time, I don't know. Of course, they're going to try, but I mean, I'm going to hope that we continue to work on that, and we don't have to be so vulnerable to it. You know, they might have been fine, dude. I'll be honest, they probably fell asleep because I mean they wasted like 40 seconds on that play just to get it to go. So I mean, we probably lost focus. Would be my thing on that one.
Right, right. And of course, Harbaugh fell on the sword on his sword,
Right.
talking about how he should have stopped that at the door. Bad call, you know,
Oh, truth.
and
Yeah.
you know, I like that. I like the fact that we had that happen because people like Mike Sanderstill and just some of our more mature
Hmm.
seniors, Chris Jenkins. Maybe we could hit that CEO. Yo, hey,
Right.
we're in man coverage. It's like 8 seconds left. We got like
Well,
50. We got like 50 yards to cover. What are we doing?
oh,
you know,
yeah.
I'm Mikey. I'm Agent Zero, and I think I could. I think I could defend him man to man on an island, but just in case.
Oh, no, it's true. I mean, because at that point, even I was like, well, you got to watch the deep pass. I mean, I know they kind of figured, well, maybe they'll try and get in position for a long field goal because that kid could kick in a mile, their field goal kicker. But still, the way their offense had been playing to that point, there was no way they had any real faith that they were going to score any touchdowns on us. So if you have a chance to take a deep shot, you got to take it, and that's like the most ideal time to do it. So I mean, granted, I don't want to sound like I know it all, but I mean, I definitely was like, we gotta let's watch how deep, let's watch the deep pass and see what's going on here.
Right. I mean, we got one happened in the Nebraska game, one happened in the Rutgers game.
Yeah,
Man, I think people are gonna keep testing that, and that's more fire for the Ohio States and the Penn
true.
States of the world. They know that, those 8 and 9 routes can go on us.
Yeah.
Maybe the first series they put one up and now we're in chase mode,
Well,
versus
yeah, that's true, but they better hope that it doesn't take longer than 3 seconds to get that ball off. So if it
yeah,
takes more than three
how
seconds to get
about it?
that thing off, you're done because that defensive line is going to get you.
How about it? How
You
about I
know?
love the way our D line is playing,
Oh,
man. They are
it's,
lights out, man. I
it's a
love it.
thing of beauty, man. When your linebackers don't have to blitz and you guys are getting constant pressure, that is a just absolute testament to how good the defensive line is.
Absolutely. And Colston Loveland also scored. Play action
Right. It
from
looked a lot like that pass they did in the uh, Ohio State game.
it did, but do you see how quick he executed it though?
Yeah,
It was almost like they saw something and couldn't wait to pull the trigger because that thing happened fast. I was like,
it's yeah,
wow. He
yeah.
put
It
some
was
heat on
impressive.
that thing.
It was impressive. The kid's got an arm when he wants it, huh?
Yeah, like like that's cool. I love his arm. Like I say he's like flame throwing.
Yeah.
But sometimes I want him to put a little air under it. Don't make it so.
Give
Don't
him a
make
chance
what
to
I
run
mean. Like
under it. Yeah.
especially in the deep ball when he's got Roman or he's got CJ
Hmm.
and the deep ball happens and it's like an arrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know what's weird is that his freshman year, I mean, he threw some really beautiful deep balls that just, like we said, fell right underneath.
Yeah.
Just so um I just I don't know what it's been that he's kind of fallen off on that part. It's kind of interesting that pass that he had in the Wisconsin game was a beautiful one. He dropped it right in the bucket, and it seems like this. You're right. He shoots more arrows than he does anything else.
No, I love his arm. I think he has a pro arm. I think he could make any throw in the book. I just think, as a young man that has so much enthusiasm, sometimes he puts a little bit too much fire on that cannon, and then it comes out like a boom instead of sort of like a missile that needs to kind of arc a little bit and do its thing and reach its trajectory with a little strategy. You know what I mean?
Right.
I,
Absolutely.
I love his back shoulder ball.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
His back shoulder ball is on point. The one he threw to Samaj Morgan. That
Yeah.
that was a thing of beauty.
That
And I
is
think
good.
we're gonna I think we're gonna continue to see stuff like that. So let's any other standouts? Last word on the game reviews, it's on you.
Um, I just not really. I mean, it was once again JJ didn't play into the fourth, which is I think good overall. I mean, I know some people worry, will we be ready to go that four quarter if we have to, but I don't see any problem with it. I think we're going to be rested. I think we're going to be ready to go when we have to get into Penn State. I think overall it was just I really just enjoyed what we saw. The camaraderie, everything's going the way we need it to go right now, and I don't see any real glaring problems at this point.
Yeah, I loved it, and I love this. I had to put this up. This has been circulating all over social media. They really kind of united as a group in their mission, and they don't mind being in each other's company. There's a lot of teams that don't have that or even foster that sort of camaraderie, like
True.
one mission, one band, one sound, and we're gonna move like we have a purpose. You know what I mean? And we're gonna share in each other's success.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
agree.
So let's get to the game preview, man.
All right.
Game preview. So, of course, as you see, there's no statistical category that Michigan isn't better than Indiana.
True.
And this is starting to become every week. I want to play some checkers here. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. Well,
But I
that ain't going to happen for another couple weeks.
right, right. Hopefully Purdue or little bro will bring some. But let me just introduce some of the players from Indiana side. You got Jackson, who is the quarterback, and he's kind of a 50-50 player. He's got an arm, he's got some wiggle, he's got some wheels, he can move, but that's what he's doing in that juncture. And then Jalen Lucas, what do you think of him? He's like a scat back, Marshall Falk, Tiki Barber type of guy where he can run and catch the ball out of the backfield. Does he pose threat for Michigan in this upcoming game?
I think if we don't tackle well, he can. He's so small and fast. I mean, he's just one shake away from going 70, 80 yards. The kid is quick, but overall, the way they use him, I don't know if they're really helping him out. I mean, they've been trying to do option and put him behind the line, and I mean, he's 175. Put him up, do that against Michigan, you're going to get him killed.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
like a double A running back or
yeah,
two running back.
yeah, man. It's not. I mean, if that's what they want to do, I'm fine with it because that just makes it easier for us. But you're not doing him any favors. But the kid is explosive for sure.
Yeah. And then you got Cam Camper, who's probably their best receiver. He's
Yeah,
like he's like the fast twitch guy. Poor man's Emeka Abuka.
right.
Do you think he could cause problems for us, especially with what we're doing now when we're putting Agent Zero on the island, and then we're putting either Johnson or we're putting Makari Page in at the nickel.
Right.
What do you think impact a guy like Cam Camper can have?
Well, I mean, he might, but I think he's coming off of an injury, so I don't know if
Hmm.
that'll slow him down some. But it all comes down to that quarterback. You know what I mean? Like guys like that need a quarterback that can get them the ball, and I think Jackson's good enough. But is he? He's no Watt failure. You know what I mean? Like who they used to have. So
Right.
I don't know if maybe if he goes up against Wallace, maybe he'll have a better time. I think Wallace has been kind of having a slow, like a fallback a couple steps since his first game. But
Right.
outside of that, I don't see anybody on Indiana's squad that necessarily scares me to think um, that we couldn't guard them. You know what I mean? Like somehow, some way, one on one, they can win a matchup outside of us screwing something up.
Yeah. So 1 second. So we got So we're in our game preview, and they also have EJ Williams. He's another receiver.
Hmm.
And when we flip to the defense, they have Pierre, they have Mangum, Dunham, and Toomer, and it seems like their whole secondary is kind of brand new starters for this year.
Right.
Um,
It's yeah,
so that could become a big problem in terms of like chemistry and gelling and how well they do together as a whole. You know what I mean?
true.
And when
I
you play,
mean,
go ahead.
no, my bad. Go ahead. I hopped in when I
No,
shouldn't.
I'm saying when you play a team like us and you are a new secondary, even though you're talented, like you're not going to be. No one's going to get to Division 1 Power 5 school and be a slob.
Oh no,
You're gonna
that's
have
true.
some talent, but
Yeah,
the secondary, is all about, at least in my years of coaching, it's very much about chemistry. It's all about, bracket coverage, those sorts of things. And if people aren't
right.
where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be, then someone has to do someone else's job. And then
True.
and six is usually the result of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I do. That is the one thing that Indiana does actually fair. Well, I wouldn't say well, but that number, what 44 Toomer, I think it is.
Hmm.
It might be Toomer, right? Oh, and then number 9, I think I'm trying to look and see who that is, but um, they they're pretty solid. I mean, they gave Ohio State fits for like the first half. I mean,
They
if
did.
you
They did.
if you don't block, if you don't like hold them down, that they can make some noise. I mean, they're about the only 2 players on that team that can, but still, all it takes is one key hit, and then you're fumbling the ball, and now it's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah. Do you think they're ready? Because I know a lot of teams like to copy blueprints. They like to
Hmm.
scout what the other team. I'm a scout what Nebraska did, and I'm a scout what Rutgers did, and we're gonna fill gaps, and we're gonna
Right.
do that sort of a thing. Do you think they're ready for the physicality that Michigan is gonna bring with them big bubbas up front?
Um, I I don't, man, because well, like we saw with Ohio State, man, they started to wear them down after a bit, and physicality is just something I don't know if you can really get used to. You either have to have it or not, and I just don't know if 2 guys on your defense are able to continue to carry you through when we have just waves of big boys that can just keep pushing you around.
Yeah, especially when we do go unbalanced line and we run duo and all
Right.
those sorts of things. Man, and have you been checking out some of Bredesen's blocks lately?
Oh man, they're
Oh,
dude. We have the 2 best guards in the game, man. They're unbelievable.
I
Big
was
nasties.
questioning. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, no, I was just saying they're big nasty boys, man. They love to hit and they get angry about it, which is great.
Yeah, man. I was questioning when they moved him from tight end to fullback, but I was like, I can't question it anymore.
Right.
That's
Oh,
that's
oh, dude.
exactly what you want.
I'll be honest. Uh, Bredesen, man, he annoyed me at that bowl. No, well, yeah, Bowling Green game when he
Mm,
tried to run that ball. It's just like, bro, you're the kind of guy I'm glad he's blocking, and I mean, it runs in the family, right? His brother I playing with the Giants still, I think.
yeah.
But dude, I don't know. He had me there for about a week where I didn't even want to hear his name. I was like, man, don't even get me
That's
started
humble,
on
huh?
this dude. Yeah, dude. I was
Hey,
like,
man,
come on.
just eat dirt, man. Like, what are you doing? Just eat some
Seriously.
turf. Like,
Yeah,
just
no
don't
one
run.
cares about you. Like, I'm sorry. Your mother and your father in the stands care. No one else. No one's like, oh man, I can't wait for Bredesen to see if he can take one to the house this year. Nobody's ever said that ever. So I don't want to see it.
Hey, so we're talking about game review, right? I mean,
Hmm.
game preview. I'm sorry. We're talking about game preview. So we're previewing the Michigan Indiana game. It's gonna happen noontime on Fox. Um, do you think this turns into another third quarter
Oh, what
Indiana
blowout?
hands on their knees, suck and win? You know, the same thing that happened to Nebraska, same thing that happened to Rutgers.
Oh
They
yeah.
had some big boys up front, and then all of a sudden in the third quarter, you see people, calling those trainers on the field.
Yeah, dude. I think it's totally going to happen because I mean, last year we had 7 sacks against their quarterback Basilak or whatever, and I think most of those came towards the end of the game. So yeah, especially if you think about it, with as many people as we throw out on that defensive line,
Hmm.
and and they're already not a great offensive line, so we're
Right.
going to wear the hell out of them. And
Mm.
then all you got to do is get in that quarterback's head. I mean, you don't even have to sack him, hit him, talk to him, get near him, let him feel the breeze on his helmet that you ran past him. Get in his head and make him hurry everything up, or know that let him hear footsteps. You know, like Darnold said when he played the Patriots, I'm seeing ghosts. I mean, make him see that shit.
Yeah,
And after
especially
a while, you just get wear him out.
yes, sir. Especially if you got Mason Graham turning into Lou Ferrigno.
Seriously, dude, the White Hulk, dog. It's just the way it goes.
Yo,
Yeah.
that was crazy. And see, I was looking at that and I said, "Is he transforming? What is he?
Serious,
What's going
dude.
on with this guy? What is he?
Yeah,
Is he
man.
turning into the Juggernaut? What's happening here?
Bro, he's that kid's unbelievable. I mean, we're just we have so much talent. It's unbelievable. It's the greatest
First
thing
rounder,
ever.
first rounder when it's all said and done. What you think?
Ooh, Mason Graham?
Yeah,
Man, if he keeps this up, I don't see why not. I mean, definitely. I mean, think about it. In this day and age, you need with guys who can get the ball out as quick as they do in the NFL now. You need pressure up the middle. And I mean, hell, if Mozzie can get in there, well, dude, Mason Graham definitely can.
yes, sir.
You
Yes,
know.
sir. Yes, sir. Got to show this one here.
Oh yeah, it's a good looking stat right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. On defense, we score more than people in the club.
Damn,
I love it. I
that's a
love it.
pretty good ratio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look at how many people got their hands on the ball this year, man. This is crazy. I love it.
I think
I
we scored more touchdowns than we've allowed
right.
on
Right.
defense. That's
How about it?
amazing.
How about it?
Unbelievable.
Roman Wilson is the highest rated wide receiver against man coverage, Pro Football Focus.
That's awesome.
Can that pay dividends for us in this game?
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Because I don't think they have anybody who can guard him.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I would love to see the tight ends. To be honest, I would love to see Barner get a touchdown against his old team. That would be sweet.
It would be. It
You
would
know?
be. And Tuttle. I'd like to see Tuttle
Oh,
get in there. And
yeah,
do his
dude.
thing. That'd be
It would,
great. That'd be
I'll
great.
be honest. I would love to see Donovan Ed. This to me screams Donovan Edward breakout game. Just because the weather's going to be nasty, we're more than likely not going to throw a lot, right? And now we can just give Corum like a half, like a quarter and a half, maybe even just a quarter, and then just run Donovan Edwards till he runs himself out of this this slump, because it's the perfect team to do it against.
Yeah, if we get up early, if we do like we did against when we had the 21-0 score again, who was that? That was against was that Nebraska?
Yeah.
Nebraska. So we do that early.
Mm-hmm.
We give them a heavy dose of Mullings and Edwards. I would love to see Edwards in the eye.
Oh, there you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe him and Bredesen, and they just pound it for like a 10-play drive.
Right.
And don't give up on the young man until he gets in the end zone.
I agree, man. I think to me, I think he's just one really good game away from being fine. Hell, he could be one really good play away. I mean, he breaks a 70-yard touchdown run. He may everything just might start clicking again,
Yes,
it's
sir.
like
Yes, sir.
it's like that shooter in basketball. All he needs to hit is that first basket, and then he should be good. He should just be good to go.
Yeah, man. And I would love to see the screen game open up a little bit with Donovan. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
There's a bunch of things I'm going to get to a little bit later, and I know you may have a hard stop on.
Yeah, I gotta get
on
going
being on
soon.
the show. So we thank you, man. Do you want to last word is on you. Do you want to tell the folks how to find you, how to find your show and
Oh sure.
and the like?
Yeah, man. So it's the Michigan Football Rant. I'm on all social media, YouTube, X or Twitter, Threads, Instagram, Facebook fan page, all under either Michigan Football Rant or Michigan Maniac Podcast, anything like that. You'll find me. I'll be honest, and you've seen them. I think I have some of the best memes in the game when it comes to making fun of the other team. So, just hit me up, find me. I'll return. I pretty much, you DM me, I return pretty much anything. Even if you're kind of crazy, I'll still do it if I'm bored or not. But whatever. So yeah, you just hit me on all social media, guys. Once again, great to be on your show, dude.
No doubt, no doubt. So before you leave, man, let's have some fun.
Okay.
Explain. That's yours, right?
Explain. Oh yeah. That's fine. There we go. Well, because they call their offensive line the Minnesota Moving Company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Got you.
I guess it must be a local thing they do,
Mhm.
or whatever. Because I heard one of their beat writers. He kept saying, "Oh, the Minnesota Moving Company this, and the Minnesota Moving Company that," and it's like, bro, that Minnesota Moving Company got its wheels jacked because they didn't do shit.
Yes, sir, man. I just wanted to bring that on so we can have a
Yeah.
laugh, man. Hey, thanks for hanging backstage with me, man,
Oh
while I
yeah.
prepped and got ready to get on board. And I appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna do a like immediate post game show if you want to jump on.
Okay.
I'm gonna I'll send you the link. We could jump on, and the post game show is only gonna be real quick, about a half hour.
Sounds
And
good, man.
hey, man, thanks for jumping on, man. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
All right, dude. Take care.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace.
All right. So that was Adam from Michigan Football Rant. Go check him out on Twitter. To me, that's one of the better ways of accessing what he does. He does it dope. He has a podcast. I have more like a multicast, if you will, shows, episodes, etc. They're both dope. He's a friend of the show. Support, support, support. Go out and show what you got. So we were in the middle of game previews, and we were talking about how the Michigan Wolverines basically categorically are better than all of the skill positions on Indiana. But that doesn't mean that Indiana doesn't have talented players. The Jackson kid, who's the quarterback, can run. Lucas kid is a dual threat receiver and running back. Henderson is a slash kid. Camper and Williams can catch the ball, and they have a defensive secondary that can get after it. So if Michigan doesn't watch what they're doing and doesn't stay on their p's and q's, things can go awry in a hurry. Um, I showed a picture of how Michigan has won the last 42 of the 45 matchups versus Indiana. But one thing about Indiana over the last, let's say, 5 or so years, they have given us fits in certain regards. And a lot of the pundits that are out right now are saying that it's going to be a wet, sloppy game because of the weather. And that could give, some problems in regards to Michigan coming out victorious. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case or not. I don't think it will be. Yeah, man. So that's another pictorial that I wanted to show that I got off of these social media streets. Those are the 3 cats who have taken the ball into the end zone. Chris Jenkins almost did it when he intercepted it, and also uh, Kenneth Grant did the very same thing. And here's our depiction of all of the troublemakers that we got on defense who get it done. Now, what's interesting about this picture is you don't see any linebackers, but that don't mean our linebackers aren't where they're supposed to go and doing what they're supposed to do, because Junior Colson is a tackling machine. He's not in a whole lot of the fanfare because he's busy making the return and the thump happen. And then we got Mikey Barrett, who's really, really great, not only in the run fits, but he's really, really great in pass coverage as an outside linebacker. And Ernest Hausman, man, I think Ernest Hausman, as a linebacker who came from Nebraska, who's a transfer, he gave our defense a standard. We need the return of the thump. And I think his energy has been contagious. And I think not only do the linebackers feel his energy, but I think the D line feels his energy and acts accordingly because you see that you see their progress, man. We're number one defense in the nation, number one in scoring defense in the nation, and we might be like sixth or so if we're counting rush defense third or sixth. You know, those stats float every week. As long as we're in the top 10, top 5, top 6, we're goody. I love it. I love it. I love it. I had to show the that those metrics and show those graphics like this one here, and then this one here, and then now we're going to show this one here. So what's interesting about JJ Mack, Blake the Great, and Roman Wilson is they lead in QBR, they lead in receiving touchdowns, and they also lead in rushing touchdowns. How about it? What is Indiana gonna do when that comes through and tests and knocks on their door with a test? You know what I mean? Ready to test, knocks on their door with a test. Let's get this game popping. I don't know, man. So once again, we were in game preview and we're about to move on. Oh, one last thing. So just so that you guys know, in the last couple of games that Indiana played, this team gives up big plays. They do defensively. They give up big plays. They gave up big plays versus Ohio State. They gave up big plays versus Louisville. They gave up big plays versus practically everyone that they played. So, if they looking for big plays, if they looking for a team to come through and put a big play on them, they found the right one. Because we'll love you to death with that run game, and then that play action come through, and here comes CJ streaking down the field with a double move, and here come Roman on that man to man, and you lost, you silly with it. You know what I mean? And big plays are all over the place. So this team is prone to big plays in big ways. And I think we're going to see some of that, even though it may be a little marsh, maybe a little muddy, maybe a little wet and slippery. That sort of game favors the Michigan Wolverines because the run game is built for things like that. A stout defensive seven is built for games like this, right? Where it's wet and you handling that rock and you getting them fingers banged on by them helmets. And in the third quarter, late second quarter, you don't touch the rock quite the same way. And if the rock is wet and slippery, now we're talking about turnovers. You know what I mean? And if that rock is wet and slippery and we're putting Indiana in a passing situation, now you're talking about Derrick Brooks, Josiah Stewart, McGregor, and all the rest of the defensive line with strip sacks and all kinds of mayhem. So, that's our game. That's our game preview on the Big House breakdown. And now we're going to get into the eye test, right? Because, and we alluded a little bit to it, Adam and myself. The eye test basically is the eye in the sky don't lie. What does that team look like in total, in aggregate, in concert, all put together? I think Indiana looks like their record says they look. They look 2-3. They look under 500. They look like they have a lot of errors in a lot of ways. They want to throw to run, right? Because they're light in the backfield. 175 pounds is this Jalen Lucas kid. He's shifty. He can move, but he's 175 pounds. So 175 pounds is 175 pounds. But to be honest, we were susceptible to it versus Nebraska. And the kid scampered off for a touchdown. Now you can say what you want to about why would you put a wide receiver / running back in the backfield And garbage time, well, if that's what you do, you do. You got to lace them up. You got to play the numbers in front of you as they come. Doesn't matter what jersey they have on. Doesn't matter what position they are. It doesn't matter even if you're playing Nebraska and Indiana like it's a Madden game and you putting receivers in the backfield because they're fast and they can hit the holes fast and get you positive gains fast and all of that type of stuff. Well, you have to play the jersey, the different color jersey that presents itself as an opposing player. You can't not do that. But I do think the Jackson kid already has a gang of interception on the season. I think he has 3 or more interceptions on the season. And with our defensive scheme, I think we can get young kid to throw into some turnover prone situations. That would be my thought. I think you can get him to throw into some trouble areas. And this may be the first week where we finally find one of our old safeties getting their hands on the ball. Makari Page, Rob Moore, and now they're scooting and trying to make the best out of a interception return for a touchdown. I don't think it's over with. But if I was a betting man, I would bet on as soon as Junior Colson or Ernest or Houseman puts the shoulder pad into and lays that wood on Lucas in a wet field, wet environment, that ball might get coughed up a thing or two. Or, and what might be a great thing is if we get a throwback sort of thing happening, and we just start putting some people out of the games. If you've been a keen observer, you've seen a lot of players rolling around, holding their arms, holding their ribs, holding body parts when the third and the fourth quarter came along. The big kid from Nebraska, Huckmaker or whatever his name was, he was pretty stout most of the game. He was pretty brolic. And then you turn around, late third quarter, oh boy, he had to step out. I need a blow, coach. My hand hurt, coach. You know what I mean? You don't have that same oomph when that scoreboard makes this thing look out of reach, but yet you still got to deal with that big pound them big bubbas pounding you up front, which is the Michigan offensive line. And then, of course, everybody and their mama when they talk about Michigan now is talking about this boa constrictor reference. And I took credit for it because last year when nobody was talking about it, I was the one making shows talking about Michigan is like a boa constrictor. So thank you. You're welcome, Joe Klatt. But now I'm gonna drop something new on you. I don't think Michigan is like a boa constrictor anymore. I think they have traits that are like that. But what I do think they are is I think they're road graders, just like Taz. So you got Taz in the middle of the eye test, right? And I think that they're really road graders. And when you really see it, short yardage. Or when they know that Blake is not in the game, or even when Blake is in the game, but especially when Mullings is in the game, Khalil Mullings, the big 300, 240-pound running back that we have, when he's in the game and he's revving his engines to get that handoff, I think that Zinter and Keegan and Nugent, they know what they need to do up the A gap. They know. It's no negotiating. It's, coaching for so long, that really is where you have you make your most impact. When you make it simple for your linemen and you give them the ability to find the man, destroy the man. Find the man, destroy your man. Find your man, double, get to the second level, destroy the linebackers, even get to the third level, beat up on them safeties so that they don't want to come down in the box and poke their head around anymore. So I call us like a Taz. I call us like road graders. Like we got a whirlwind offense and we chew up the road. We chew up clock. We chew up the road, just like Taz chews it all up. Taz chews up wherever he goes. in whatever fashion. And Taz almost looks like a Wolverine. So, and then of course you got McCarthy. He's passing the eye test. Our backfield, with the addition of Mullins, they're passing the eye test. Our wide receivers, with the addition of the big play by Johnson last week and Colston Lovely, they're passing the eye test. Of course, the O-line, that pin and pull when Zinter came around, and then he sprung Blake Corum for the long 40-yard run. That set up some other things, right? Our D-line is chewing them up. Mason Graham, he looks like Lou Ferrigno. And, our linebackers, Ernest Hausman is thumping. Junior Colson is thumping. Mikey Sanders still has been thumping this year. And our secondary is all ball hawks, man. They get their hands on them balls and bring it. No funny. They get their hands on them interceptions and they take it to the house. So, yes, the Michigan D and what they bring passes the eye test. Absolutely. Michigan offense passes the eye test. Michigan D passes the eye test. Does Indiana believe that Michigan passes the eye test? Will they sleep on what Michigan potential can be for tomorrow? And are we going to see more greatness? Or are we going to see some sort of lull and lethargic nature out of our starters? I don't think so. I think that Bowling Green game was a wake-up call. I think they're ready to go. I think they got the cupcake stuff out their system with the cupcake bowls, the three first games, UNLV, Bowling Green, and what was it? East Carolina. Yeah. So I think they got all of the, on board. I don't think this is real competition stuff out of their system, and they are ready to go like all engines revving, systems blazing, and Johnny Mac flame throwing, and Blake being great. All right, so we're going to move on to our hot take. Now, what's our hot take? Our hot take is, like when you listen to Joe Klatt or you listen to Stephen A, or you listen to any of the big talking heads that have a show, all they're giving is their take on what is happening in sports. Now, sometimes it's hot and sometimes it's real corny, to be for real with you. But this is definitely in fuego, the hot take for this game, Michigan Wolverines, Michigan versus Indiana. Here we go. So Michigan has deadly depth. The fact that we could play a Keon Sabb, a Harris, a Quentin Johnston, the fact that we could play, we got a four-man rotation at safety, a 4 to 5 man rotation at corner, and we deeper than that. I think that kills. I think the fact that we can march unbalanced lines with, people who could actually start on any team in the Power Five, that is so impressive. And the fact that we have a really deep running back room. So we could afford to keep people fresh, to keep people without getting banged around as running backs. And having Khalil Mullins in there with his size is going to really wear on a lot of teams, especially late, especially if we're strategic about how we use them. So I think our depth is deadly. Mentor's D-line and DB games. I think there's a madness to what Mentor, Mike Mentor is doing with Mikey Sanders still. I think there's a method to that madness. Not only do we need a bona fide corner on the island, but I think as the season progresses, I think he wants to be able to bring Mikey Sanders still from various positions on the field as a blitzer. I think he wants to have Mike Sanders still get used to doing that from all kinds of places all over the field. And then when we start to play the Penn States of the world and the Zero States of the world, and the Marylands of the world. And we need that jump on defense. We need that little extra kick on defense, that extra 6-man, 7th man to the pass rush, and somebody's going to get open. I think having Mikey Sanders still coming from different areas and different points of rush that the offense can't fathom where he's coming from. I think that's gonna, pay super dividends for the Michigan Wolverines. And then you can move linebackers around, you can move all kinds of people in and out of and play games. And of course, our D line rotation is crazy with Cam Good and Rajon Benny. Those dudes can also be starters in another situational uh, game as well. So BC, meaning Blake Corum, and Donovan Edwards running package. So when they have the two of them in the game at the same time, and we've seen Donovan Edwards run like a speed option, or a speed option across the formation before the ball snapped, or we'll do some sort of like backfield dumping to him or something like that. I think that, and what's been happening, and my sight beyond sight, is that when JJ has pulled the ball and runs, and those big runs have happened over the course of the season, and it may happen again in this game. Those things have been set up because you have too much to pay attention to on the field. So I think even though the Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards package hasn't yielded a touchdown yet, it's a lot for a standing defense to digest. You really need 7 coverage people in your secondary when you put a package like Blake and Donovan on the field at the same time. And then if your line is head on a head, man on a man blocking, because you have to pay attention to a Donovan and a Blake on the field at the same time, then read option RPO becomes easy at that point. And then JJ, once he sees the line crash down on Blake, he's running naked because he's running fancy, footloose and fancy free, blazing up the field, because that's way too much to concentrate on for defense. The one thing I hope matures, though, and gets better is Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards gains out of those formations. And I think we're holding on to a player too. I think those plays that they run with Donovan Edwards going in motion and Blake doing the read with JJ out of that package, I think there's another 2 or 3 plays that are gonna reveal themselves as we get to the meat of the schedule, as we play the Michigan State, Maryland, Penn State, Ohio States of the world. I think we're gonna see that package really open up in ways that we put it on film looking one way, and here comes the counterpunch with Donovan and Blake doing what they do, and not just JJ running. But I think as it stands now, JJ is an X factor because RPO becomes that much more dangerous with both of them on the field, because you have a running receiving threat and you have an RPO threat, and then all JJ has to do is pull it, and away he goes. And with Wilson and CJ Johnson, what I'm noticing is that those guys are locked in. Oh, they're locked in for sure at wide receiver. I see a maturity out of them. So I think if we keep going to them in those long ball situations, we're going to be rewarded more times than not, because as long as JJ puts a little air under it and makes it catchable, I think those guys are locked in, man. They want to go pro. They want to prove that they're viable receivers. I believe they're locked in, and we have an advantage there in most games. Like the stat said, Roman Wilson is the highest graded wide receiver against man coverage. So also we have our defense got sticky fingers, man. They doing the 5-finger discount on defense. And if you're not from the hood or you're not from the city, a 5-finger discount is when you go in the store and you you get something without putting some money on it. You know what I mean? And I think our defense works for the turnovers that they get. But I'm gonna call them sticky fingers on defense because more than more than enough players are contributing to how turnovers are happening on our defense. And it's interesting when you have a 42-10 game, in a couple of those situations, our defense either had to score or give our offense a short field. Now, I hope this continues once we start playing the Michigan States and the Penn States and the Marylands and the Ohio States. Because give us a short field against Ohio State, it's a wrap. We're going to be so amped up to get that thing done. It's going to be six without even thinking about it. And the return of the thump, man. The return of the thump. I think there's an intensity that has returned back to our linebacking core. Now, you could say that's because of Chris Partridge and the job he's doing coaching. And you can also say that that's because you have some youth and some energy and some just out and out enthusiasm at the linebacker position to play the game. And the young man Houseman, he may not know all the playbook. He may not know how to, digest the offense just by looking at it, but he knows how to get to the A gap, to the C gap, blow it up, and be an impact player. So I call Houseman return of the thump. That's what I like it. And I think he's inspiring Colson to bring his thump game up. I think he's inspiring Mikey Barrett and Mikey Sanders to bring y'all thump game up in this linebacker thing. Bring your thump game up, defense. And when you bring your thump game up, guess what happens? Turnovers. So that was my hot take, sight beyond sight, on the Big House Breakdown, Michigan, all things Michigan sports talk show. So next we have a section called Shit Talking. Now all of the social media outlets don't strike a brother because that's not exactly what it sounds like. There's a Z there, but it doesn't mean anything less. Here we go. So shit talking is our opportunity to talk about college football from a broad perspective. If you're a homer and you love Michigan, you could run your mouth, you could talk your ish, and nobody would fault you for it. So let's get into it. Michigan dominance versus the schedule. Now, Michigan has been dominant, right? And if I hear one more talking bobblehead in the sports caster community tell us that our dominance has an asterisk next to it because we don't play anybody, well, I've seen all the teams that we have played or are about to play give other teams fits. Like UNLV is having a pretty good season. Nebraska came back last week and gave that team some smoke. And also, the team we're about to play, they took Ohio State to the hill for about a half or maybe a half and a quarter or so. You know what I mean? So don't tell me that I don't lace them up one shoe at a time. Don't tell me we don't put on our one jock at a time. We don't put on our pants one pant leg at a time, just like the other team, no matter who they are, no matter who they played. And stop trying to fault us and give us a less than because we played the schedule that was made for us. We can't do nothing else but play the schedule that was made for us. But James Franklin don't seem to think so. Quote, there's a lot of teams in this conference that's buying out a ton of game contracts to go in another direction. You got to do whatever you possibly can to give yourself a chance to go undefeated. Okay, let's talk about it. We just talking because he was one of our. He was part of our shit talking segment anyway. He was the second one. So let's just combine it. James Franklin, you weak, man. You're a weak dude, man. I just gotta say that. You're a weak dude. You should be concentrating on making your team, as they're undefeated, the very best team that they can be, and not worrying about if Michigan is paying off schedules. Georgia gets the same amount of cupcakes. Alabama gets the same amount of cupcakes. You got the same amount of cupcakes. Ohio State got the cupcakes sprinkled in. Everybody, every powerhouse team in college football has 3 or 4 cupcakes layer in their schedule. So for you to run your jip and say what you saying, super cap on you, sir. But I don't think you could wear a cap because your nugget is too big. And I don't know if they can make a hat to fit that nugget. I don't know if they can make a hat to fit that knot. You know what I'm saying? I just think he's tired of being third dog in the Big Ten. That's what I think. And he's going to say and try to instigate whatever he can because maybe he's feeling like his team doesn't have a fighting chance this season, even though they have a credible defense. Step your game up, man. Work the transfer portal like we did. Do some different things to get your team in the best fit possible so they could do what they need to do to be contenders in the Big Ten. All right, man. So we just talking. We done took care of Big Knot Franklin. And now we back. We on some backhanded praise by Paul Feinbaum and JR and RJ Young. Now, you know, Feinbaum don't never like Harbaugh. So whenever Feinbaum gives Harbaugh a compliment, you gotta watch it. It's snake oil in the mix, man. Snake oil in the water. Snake oil in the ointment. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got, you know, Urban Meyer there running his mouth when we were playing Nebraska. We were going to take these L's and yada yada yada. Sis boom bah. Trust me, Michigan will be just fine without your praise. Go back to, you know, brown nosing for the SEC. Go back to brown nosing for the Big 12. Leave the Big 10 alone. Let us do our thing. And we'll see you guys in the college football playoffs. We don't need you to be a cheerleader. You can take the skirt off. You can put the pom-poms down. We don't need you being disingenuous. We fine. We got our O-line. We got our D-line. We come in the box. We club a lane up in this piece. We Debo. You know what I'm saying? We Ivan Drago up in this piece. We don't need your backhanded praise. That sounds like a whole lot of cap, if you think about it. You know? But we had to talk a little shit about that because Paul Feinbaum is running that mouth. Okay, so let's get back into it. The Michigan 2024 schedule is crazy, man. Let me put that on the screen. So, thanks to Die Hard Sport was grateful enough to create this piece, and we could put it on. We got look, Fresno State, Texas, Arkansas State, Michigan State, 4th game out of the year, Minnesota again, Northwestern, Oregon, USC, Illinois. Man, what a stretch. That's a stretch right there. I'm going to read it again. Oregon, USC, Illinois. And then we close out the year back to back with Ohio State and Washington. Wow. What a schedule, man. They must love us. They must think we're going to bring them in some big rate. I think a marquee matchup, of course, is Michigan, Texas. That's a bowl game. Of course, Michigan, USC is a bowl game type of situation. Michigan, Oregon is a bowl game type situation. Of course, you got the game against Ohio State. And in Washington, because of the regionality and the history between Michigan and Washington, playing each other for many, many, many Rose Bowl championships over the years. Bowl game type territory too. So we're playing the equivalent of 4 or 5 teams on our schedule that could be potential bowl games. And of course, Illinois has stepped up their defensive prowess. And, we don't know what to expect from Arkansas State. Minnesota will always be scrappy. Man, this defense is murderer's row. I think I don't know if this is top 5. It gotta be top 10, if not top 5 schedule. Crazy. We shouldn't hear from nobody next year about is our schedule good enough? So if we're undefeated through 4 games, I don't want to hear shit from Shine Nola from nobody. For real. I don't want to hear nothing from nobody about why we are 4-0 with this particular schedule. Just put us number 1 in the country. We got a number 1 country type of schedule. If we're 4-0 next year, no excuses. You know what I'm saying? Excuses build monuments of incompetence. You know what I'm saying? Those who specialize in their use, seldom achieve anything in life. Taking it back. Peace, peace, peace to my kings. Yes, sir. So we back shit talking on the Big House Breakdown. And we're gonna talk about Coach Prime and his buffs and Shador Sanders flashing the bling after the game was over. Is Prime Colorado buff the new commercial kings of college football? I say they're gonna make a good run to be the new NIL commercial kings. Now I'm not sure how much eligibility Shador still has. I don't know if he's still on the COVID exemption and he's got another year, or if he's gonna go pro after this year. But whomever, Travis Hunter and all of the rest of them on there, Dixon. But I think if Dion has anything to say about it, I think he's gonna make that team relevant, and he's gonna make Colorado the new commercial kings, at least in his division, at least in the Pac-12, Big 12, Pac-12, wherever they wind up, right? For sure. I think Dion's got enough celebrity to do it, and I think he's got enough high caliber recruits to do just that. Now, this is something I wanted to talk with Adam about, but it's Michigan and its LIL approach, right? Because Michigan is losing hella recruits. We just lost the 2 twins to Kentucky. They promised and they committed to Michigan publicly, and then they decommitted and committed to the University of Kentucky. Now, I do think there's dollar signs behind that. But something else to investigate is, why does our NIL process have ED? Why is Michigan's NIL process have erectile dysfunction? Why we can't stand tall with the rest of the dudes getting the 5-star recruits? This is crazy, man. For a team that's about to go to the college football playoffs for the 3rd year in a row, we should have about 3 or 4 5-star recruits. They shouldn't be sprinkled amongst the SEC. They shouldn't be sprinkled amongst the Big 10, the Big 12. We should have 5 of them jokers in the Big House. So I'm not saying we got to throw around the bag. I'm saying we have to rethink our strategy. I like the Michigan NIL collective and what it wants to do with the parity of it all and organizing it. I love the approach that they're taking. But I also think we need a new approach to recruiting so that we're not losing out on so many talented young men who initially want to be here. And then when they get the dollar sign birdies in their ears, they're ready to, roller skate away from the Big House to greener pastures, or at least dollar bill pastures. And then Texas Toast, man. Let's talk about Texas Toast. Texas lost the Red River rivalry, or the shootout, or whatever you want to call it, against Oklahoma. And now everybody's crowning Oklahoma. Are they who they said they were? Were they who they said they were? Texas toast. Crazy, man. I don't know, man. Every time we want to believe in Texas, Texas, proves that they take a step back. They were supposed to win this Red River rivalry. That was supposed to be the stamp on their schedule to let them know Texas is back, back, back. Texas is back, back, back. Right? Like an old Diddy song, right? I'm back, I'm back, you know? But instead, we get Texas toast. And I'm not saying any given Saturday, any given Sunday, things could pop off, and they usually do. I'm just saying, you got to hold your own nuts, Texas. And Zero State runs from the Booty Bandits. That's my little moniker for it. O State is running from the Booty Bandits. Who are the Booty Bandits? All of the people on their schedule that are giving them a game in the first half. All the teams on the Zero State schedule that's giving them a game. Last week, Maryland gave them a game. Western Kentucky gave them a game. Minnesota gave them a little bit of a game. Man, four out of the earlier teams that they played have given O State or Zero State all they can handle. And they're walking around and they're conducting themselves like a sports car with a flat. They leaning. You ever seen a car on the side of a highway with a flat on a lean? You know what I'm saying? Imagine a Maybach with a lean or a Bentley with a lean. Because two of its tires are flat. You know what I'm saying? That's what this Zero State team reminds me of. You got Kyle McCord. He doesn't quite look like he fits the bill. Ryan Day might be in his ear with a lot of hot breath and telling him he better not mess up and he better not do this and he better not do that. And all that really does is take the player, the athlete out of the player. You know what I mean? You start thinking and you ain't just playing, you thinking about how you playing. You know what I'm saying? But Zero State look like they running from the Booty Bandits, man. They look like they just on their sprint game to try to get out of these games because they really can't enact a real run game. Their receivers are half and half. If it wasn't for Emeka Ibuka and Stover, I don't know what they would do with their passing game because, Harrison shows up when he wants to show up. He makes some big gains, but he shows up when he wants to show up. And is he going to be healthy enough to make it all the way to the big game? I don't know. I can't tell. But that's our segment for shit talking on the Big House Breakdown. All things Michigan football and college football. We're almost at the clip of the show, getting ready to go. So we're going to quickly go and do our pick'ems for week 7. I like Georgia, of course. They should eat Vanderbilt's lunch. Michigan should eat Indiana's lunch. Purdue always gets up for Ohio State. I don't care. They always rise for Ohio State. Give them everything they could take. Syracuse can be a gutty team when they want to be and give Florida State some fits. Bama's going to take care of Arkansas. Rutgers might mess around and beat Michigan State. Iowa versus isn't Iowa playing they have a pretty big game this week also. Let me look that up. Who is Iowa playing? Iowa is playing because they're saying Wisconsin. There you go. Iowa's playing Wisconsin. And that's going to really determine, what's going on with that West. You know what I mean? With that Big Ten West. Seriously. Cincinnati should take care of Iowa State. Temple, we thought we would see more out of them at this point in their program history. And then, of course, if you're a fan of the HBCUs, you have the classic happening between Howard and Harvard. Not the classic, I'm sorry. You have the Ivy playing the HBCU and Howard versus Harvard. So that's a cool slate of games to get into. And we appreciate you guys listening and tuning in and watching this on the replay. This has been the Big House Breakdown. I've been your host, Vic. I hope you've enjoyed. Here's a little pictorial to take us out. Please tune in, watch, share, support. Make sure you like everything that's going on with the Big House Breakdown. If you are a college football fan, a Michigan fan, or just a sports fan, like us, subscribe to us, let us know what you think about the show. You know what I mean? And with the intro, we gonna go. Peace!